Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship has made its way east to Atlantic Motorsport Park in Nova Scotia. A track lined by birch, pine, and spruce, racing to outgrow each other, much like the talented collection of young riders in the Economy Lube and Tire Pro Sport Bike division, who've shown they have the pace to compete with even the tallest trees in the series. Grid up, visor down, it's time to rip some rubber in the Maritimes. Marshall Ferguson alongside Colin Fraser as we are getting set for the Economy Lube and Tire Pro Sport Bike division here at Atlantic Motorsport Park. It is great to be back in the Maritimes on track, and John Lang on pole position here going into race one.
Well, John had a pole at our last round in Edmonton on his home track, doing an effort of this nature at this track, which so specializes with people with a lot of experience. It's a fantastic effort, but we have really hot and humid conditions, really tough for our spec Bridgestone tires, and is Lang able to carry that time consistently throughout a race? We're going to see.
That is Maverick Sear on the Economy Lube Ducati, just a 10th back in qualification. It's a real tight top six here, Colin.
Been very close in sport bike all year, but we got to talk about the big points leader. Sebastien Tremblay did not qualify well. He was about a second off the pace in fifth, but talking to him last night, he says that's fine. He's working through some chassis issues, and he is comfortable that he'll be able to battle with the young guns.
Philip de Gama Blanchette, certainly one of those young guns as he's on a Vast Performance Kawasaki, just like our pole sitter, John Lang. Alex Michel, Mac Wheel, Marco Souza, Adam Singer, and Louis Raffa round out the field here at Atlantic Motorsport Park as we get set to go around what is the roller coaster in the Maritimes.
Our map of this track is flat, and boy, does that do this venue a disservice because it is crazy hilly. It was built to take advantage of the natural topography. The back straight from turn 5 through turn 8, that's an issue of the roller coaster. And when you ride that part of the track, you are hanging on for dear life.
Such a fun track to get around. Let's go down to our Bridgestone pit reporter, Sarah Said.
Thanks, guys. John Lang continued his qualifying streak from Edmonton, taking pole position for the second round in a row here in Shubenacadie. Lang says that he did not expect to take pole position, but it helps. He believes that the start of the races are extremely important because it's very tight between the championship's top riders. Lang says his biggest challenge, however, is managing the heat out here in Nova Scotia. For him, this is uncharted territory, as it is his first time racing at Atlantic Motorsport Park for CSBK, which is twice as long as the regional race he rode in at this very same track last year. Currently, it's 28 degrees Celsius with humidity. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Sarah, as we get set for the beginning of race number 7 here in the Economy Lube Pro Sport Bike division. We look to the Apex Cycle starting lights powered by Honda. They're out, and away goes John Lang, but Maverick's here, hopping all over the place. Down into turn 1, he takes the lead.
Andrew Van Winkle on the inside on that GSXR had a bad start and lost a lot of time. He's in 4th right now as Lang makes the move.
Lang down inside. He'll take back second position here as already Maverick Sear opening it up a little bit on the rest of the field, Colin.
There we see Lang and Vieira side by side, Van Winkle in 4th, and I think that's Tremblay in 5th. So our regular suspects have moved right to the front, but Sear getting that big a start that fast is a worry. Lang, of course, was expected to set the pace because his pole time was so impressive.
Of course, Maverick Sear on the Economy Lube Ducati making the transition over from his Triumph. Already looks so comfortable on it as we head down the back straight here on lap 1.
This is his 3rd day of racing on that bike. He had an okay Saturday in Edmonton, a pretty good Sunday, looking for his first career pro win in his first pro season, coming off 2 amateur titles nationally last season.
Up and around they go as you see the lean angle here at Atlantic Motorsport Park, and they will climb up the top of the hill to complete lap number 1 with Maverick Sear. A really good pace to get things going, but plenty of battles in behind.
That backwards-facing camera of Sear showed Lang a little bit sideways coming out of the carousel. That would have cost him some time. You need the drive there, and he has someone, I think it's Vieira, still right on his tail, and Vieira's going to be looking to make it a Ducati 1-2 any minute now.
Through turn number 2 they go to the top. Turn number 3 brings them back around as Lang, Elliot Vieira, and Andrew Van Winkle giving chase with Sebastian Tremblay sitting in 5th.
Yeah, I've got to mention Michel in 6th. He's been having some problems so far this year, but this is a really good effort on a very difficult track. And Phil de Gama Blanchette is right there with them too, so 2 young guns on Kawasaki's.
Sear in control, can see him shifting the weight back and forth as we go on board with John Lang in the Vast Performance Kawasaki.
It's the inside your head camera. It's actually inside his helmet, but this is a unique view and I think really gives you a sense of how busy you are on the motorcycle as you climb the hill up to the carousel. Now we go to the drone shot. You see the leaders heading through the carousel. Lang a little conservative there with a tight entry line. Reminds me of the carousel at our last event at Edmonton.
Really get a sense as well with the inside the visor camera there of John Lang for just how much you have to push the edges on that back straight to try and carry as much speed as possible through, as he does here, completing lap number 2. And now he's getting a bit of a charge from Elliot Vieira in behind. We'll see if he decides to pick a spot here in turns 2, 3, or 4.
Well, it looks like 2nd through 5th have settled down. Good pace there. You can see Van Winkle hard on the brakes, seeing if he can make an advantage against Vieira's Ducati. But the problem is Sear is well over a second up the road, and these guys are going to have to get organized or they are going to be struggling only for 2nd.
On lap number 2, Maverick Sear went 7/10 faster than his qualification time. That put him in 2nd, but he's up in 1st right now at Atlantic Motorsport Park, underway in race number 7 of the Pro Sport Bike Division. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by Canadian Kawasaki Motors, Pro Cycle, and Lifen. Closed captioning for the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship is brought to you in part by EBC Brakes and Clutches, MotorcycleCourse.com, Apex Cycle, and Revs for Ret. Welcome back to Atlantic Motorsport Park. Well, we were away. Sebastian Tremblay takes 4th position away from Andrew Van Winkle, and in behind, it's Philip de Gama Blanchette moving up a position against Alex Michel. Some of the young riders going head-to-head here, as for now, de Gama Blanchette takes away that spot.
We were wondering if Tremblay was going to be comfortable after struggling a bit to get a setup on that GSXR 750. Remember, last year he was riding a GSXR 600 at this track. The rules have changed since last year, but he suddenly has cranked up the aggression level, and of course, Seb Tremblay with more aggression is typically a winner.
Yeah, he's been very, very strong, of course, throughout this season. When healthy, he was a bit dinged up back in Edmonton for round number 3, but starting to feel better on the bike here as Maverick Sear punches in yet another time that is up near the top, a 1:08.976, and really starting to distance himself and push as Tremblay looks around the outside. Oh, there's a traffic jam as all of a sudden Tremblay on the back of Elliot Vieira.
We had an Elliot Vieira sandwich there briefly, but unfortunately we spilled the Van Winkle onto the floor, so we got to clean that mess up and start over again. That was a good moment. I was concerned that Lang might have been holding things up. Boy, Tremblay's in the mood right now as he takes over 3rd, and we got to mention that I thought Lang was holding things up, but it was Vieira, and I think Vieira, you can watch him here, is just a little bit cautious. I don't know what's going on. We've seen this lately from the Ducatis that they might encounter a problem, and let's go back on board. This was an amazing moment with Van Winkle, who's thinking about the inside, but then he sees this crazy traffic jam, just about plows into the back of the 401 mock-up there, and then look at this, rear wheel in the air trying to save it. Now he just straight lines it. So good riding on his part. He saved it. He got his head organized. He has to cross over that concrete patch, but look at this. Tremblay, I think, is annoyed at this juncture. He does not want to race these guys, and he doesn't want to ride this way in a group, so he gets through the group, and I think Van Winkle needs to take inspiration from that, because look at de Gama Blanchette. He has struggled to run at the absolute leading pace, but he has caught up because of all those incidents we just described.
And as we go on board here with Andrew Van Winkle, who jumps up ahead of Elliot Vieira, picking off the Economy Lube Ducati as well, just like we saw Tremblay do a second ago. It's really about not only saving Van Winkle's race with that fantastic move in the last lap, he also just saved potentially Vieira and Tremblay's with the skill to get out of the way.
And now the question is, can de Gama Blanchette, watching all this happen, knows he has to get right by Vieira, because Vieira is backing everybody up. And now we have to see, look at Lang having a dramatic moment at the crest rest of the roller coaster. Tremblay would have seen that, so he knows this is a chance. You can see Tremblay's Suzuki shaking its head in the middle of the back straight there. And of course, this is by no means a straightaway, but it is on the back part of the track.
It's incredible to see how much work is going into that Suzuki, the Turcotte Performance Suzuki of Sebastian Tremblay, muscling it around down the back straight, as you say, not straight at all, but it is the back part of the track, and it is a huge high-speed section, as once again, it is a look climbing the hill to come back to the start-finish straight from Sebastian Tremblay on John Lang. Let's head down to our Bridgestone pit reporter Sarah Said with more on the Turcotte Performance Suzuki number 24.
Thanks, guys. Though Sebastian Tremblay didn't quite get the position he wanted this round, taking 5th in qualifying, he doesn't seem too concerned. The current championship leader said that he felt confident coming into this race and that he's headed in the right direction. Tremblay says his bike is easy to ride and in turn won't create too many challenging moments on the track. Despite still recovering from the shoulder injury he suffered with last round back at Edmonton, he's definitely hoping to finish on the podium, where he has usually found himself. And it looks like he's sitting at 3rd right now. Back to you guys.
Looks like he's doing more than sitting in 3rd. Looks like he's on his way to steal some lunch from John Lang, who's hanging on to 2nd by the skin of his teeth. Look at Tremblay trying the other side this time on the roller coaster, and none of these passes are easy, but what he's doing, he's pouring on the pressure. He's hoping Lang makes a little mistake, and that sets you up. This is a good method at Shubenacadie.
Is there a preferred line on that back straight, Colin? It is all over the place.
Well, you can't see it because we're in the booth, but I am shaking my head because there is no clear line. The line is not to run into the person in front of you. That is the clear line.
Any way that you can get around the person in front of. Well, we look at this battle for second as Sebastian Tremblay does make the move down the hill into turn number 1. Gets it slowed down and will hold on to second position. Maverick Steer continues to lay down times as now Van Winkle will coast by John Lang. Our pole sitter slides his way down to 4th.
Lang slightly distracted there, and good for Van Winkle. He pounced. Now that move Tremblay made in 1, that's the Jordan Soak Superbike move, and you need to make up your mind. Watch way back. Seb has picked up his marker, decided to brake at the absolute last possible moment. Now Lang has to figure out what track is left, and Van Winkle sees this as his opportunity. We go on board with Lang. Look at Van Winkle. This time that inside move isn't a panic move on the brakes. He picks up the line and off he goes.
Tremendous pace there from Andrew Van Winkle as now he looks forward and tries to track down Sebastian Tremblay. More from AMP next. Welcome back. It is lap number 11 here in the Economy Lube and Tire Pro Sport Bike Division in the Bridgestone CSBK 2024 season. Round number 4 at Atlantic Motorsport Park. Maverick Steer leads out in front of Sebastian Tremblay. Andrew Van Winkle, John Lang falling back after being on the pole. And who's that in that yellow bike, Colin? Number 62. That's Philippe de Gama Blanchette making his way up from now 6th to 5th and 5th to 4th as he goes down the inside of John Lang.
Phil DeBeest dive-bombing Lang just the way we watched Van Winkle do it not too long ago. He picks up the line coming out of the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. Great move here, a real battle in the series between Van Winkle and Phil DeBeest to see who is the brightest rising star. Phil just slightly younger, so maybe he gives him the edge. And again, you have to decide on this pass well before you start making the moves. Lang leaves the door open, but Lang doesn't enjoy this because it takes away some of the track you might have chosen to ride on.
Just a few laps ago, Philippe de Gama Blanchette, before making this pass that you see sliding down turn 1, set his fastest lap of the race, a 109.6. Extremely competitive, and now he's already creating a bit of a gap on Lang, who is struggling for pace a little bit here as we've passed the midway point.
And I think de Gama Blanchette has benefited from watching what's gone on with Tremblay and Van Winkle. Of course, Vieira faded back through this group after being right at the front early on, so lots of drama, but we haven't mentioned much about the Ducati in the lead. Sear has been in control since the very start.
Philippe de Gama Blanchette back to the scene of his pass just a lap ago on that Vast Performance Kawasaki, Colin.
Yeah, these two Kawasaki's who represent the best of the old rules, the initial rules for this class, the middleweight division, are both prepared by Willie Vass, or at least tuned by Willie Vass in Alberta. The bikes have been mostly in the east for most of the season.
As we see Phil de Gama Blanchette continue to climb, the lap times for Elliot Vieira continue to fade as the laps go on here. The last 3, he's gotten slower and slower. I wonder if there's an issue in that Economy Lube Ducati. Let's hear from Philippe de Gama Blanchette on Racing the Pros.
You definitely pick up a lot of knowledge when you're out there, because when you're racing amateurs, you know, you're 3 seconds slower, but you're up there and you realize, how the hell are they doing those 106s, those 105s? And then eventually you're like, oh, you know, they're so much later on the brakes here. They get the bike moving here. So yeah, whenever like Elliott or Tremblay or Young pass me, I'm just eyes fixated on their rear tire, just trying to pick up their lines, trying to pick up where they're picking up so much time. And I wish I could be up close behind them for longer, but those guys are crazy quick. They're incredible riders.
De Gama Blanchette not far off crazy quick himself. He's not too far behind that battle for second, and you can bet he wants to join. Whether he can make it as he wheelies off the crest heading into turn 4, getting ready to start the roller coaster, we will see, but his pace has been impressive and probably more consistent than the people in front of him.
You get the sense as well that he's likely going to continue getting quicker the more he's around those riders, as Elliott Vieira is down the grid and now into the pits he goes, as there's an issue with the Ducati.
Don't know what's going on there, but it's bad enough that he's decided to retire, so it's pretty substantial. Of course, Vieira is probably the rider with the most experience with the Ducatis in terms of tuning them.
His last lap around was a 1:13, so well off the pace here of, well, everyone's off the pace of Maverick Sear right now, but the rest of the field, so Vieira pulls in, and he is out. That will be damaging to his championship hopes as we see De Gama Blanchette come over and begin lap number 14 of 18.
Yeah, Sear has been pounding out the mid-10s, and for race pace on a very, very hot day like this, really good effort. Got to mention the Bridgestone tires. We were at Edmonton. We had never raced there before, so first time for Bridgestone. Then we went to test at Rocky Mountain, first time with Bridgestone. And then last year, this race was flooded, washed out essentially. So Bridgestone had no data from their first year of spec. So Bridgestone now have completed the loop of trying to acquire data at all the different racetracks. But the conditions we've had in the last few weeks have been just brutal in terms of heat.
Yeah, absolutely, and making it more and more challenging for these riders to get data as well and to understand how hard they can push. But Andrew Van Winkle and his FD Racing Suzuki continues to try and separate himself, but looking backwards, all of a sudden, there's a yellow Kawasaki trying to chase him down with Philippe de Gama Blanchette.
And we got to mention that Souza in 7th is actually the patron of this team. Van Winkle is riding a Souza bike, a bike that Souza used last year. There are several Suzukis in that group, and it's very kind of Souza to help Van Winkle, and those bikes are doing very well.
Maverick Sear leads out in front of Sebastian Tremblay, but it is Philippe de Gama Blanchette trying to track down Andrew Van Winkle and make his way onto the podium. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by Canadian Kawasaki Motors, Pro Cycle, and Lifen. Lap number 15 here in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. Maverick Sear out in front of Sebastian Tremblay. Andrew Van Winkle in 3rd, holding off Philippe de Gama Blanchette right now. And John Lang, our pole sitter, in 5th position. As you see de Gama Blanchette heading down the back straight.
De Gama Blanchette coming off the roller coaster. He's looking for Van Winkle at the top of the hill. We just saw him briefly heading into the carousel, and he's been playing a rear guard action, trying to get into the conversation for 3rd. He doesn't have much time left, and there we can see, wow, crazy moment for Sear trying to pick off some lappers as we head into turn 1. That did not go well.
That was not the smoothest overtake that we have seen here today. It certainly grabbed a lot of throttle coming over the crest of that hill and heading down now into turn number 2 as Sear in control of the lead at this point and trying to stretch his legs even further. Let's go down to our Bridgestone pit reporter, Sarah Said, with Maverick's dad, JF.
How does it feel to see where Maverick's at right now?
Well, he's maintaining his pace. He's controlling the race, I think. I think he put his head down the first couple laps and got a good gap. And from there, just kept on going. So he's doing what he has to do, and I think he's doing it pretty well right now.
Master of understatement, Jean-Francois Sear, and I think he's doing better than fairly well. There you can see him, Sear making a move, and he's picked off the 2 fastest locals, past Whitehead at the top of the hill into 1, then Singer. Now next up the road is Souza, so that's incredible to be lapping all the way up to 7th in a sprint race.
19 years young, and the reigning amateur champion doesn't look like an amateur at all anymore, leading this pro sport bike division by a wide margin and finding a way to continue building pace and have a little fun as well while he's doing it.
And I think when we were at Daytona at the start of the year, Sear had a very good run and finished the 200, which is tough to do in your first attempt. Gained a lot of experience, rode with a lot of terrific riders, and I think ever since then we've kind of had this sense that this year was going to be a really good year for him. The move to the Econo Lube Ducati has been key, and then we started counting in only his 2nd weekend, could he win a race this year? First year pro victory. victory is very unusual, and I don't want to curse the guy, but we're a lap and a half away.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think he has taken to this Ducati so well, switching over from the Triumph?
I don't think it's so much getting used to the Ducati. I don't think he is completely used to the Ducati. I think he's just that good a rider as we head along the roller coaster on board, which is always the thrill. And boy, does everybody wish they'd paint some lines on this track to make it a little easier to find your way. But yeah, I think Sear's just very good. You know, we joke about his lineage, and obviously the fact that his grandfather was a great racer doesn't mean he will be, but he comes from that environment of success on the track. His father has won in sport bike, last privateer to win a superbike race. So a lot of success there and a lot of knowledge of what it takes to succeed at the track.
As we begin lap number 18, it is the final lap. The white flag is out here in Nova Scotia for Maverick Sear to bring it home.
Here he heads down into turn 2. This is where he was clearly in control 17 laps ago. So a remarkable effort by Sear on that Ducati. And again, this is his third day racing this bike. He struggled 3 races ago. The first time he rode it, he had some mechanical issues, we believe, with the clutch and the quick shifter on Saturday at Edmonton. But since then, he's been doing really, really well and has got comfortable with the bike. Like I said, I'm not sure he's totally thrilled with the setup, but he can make the tires work the way he wants them. And again, he looks to have been consistent throughout today, more so than most, and that great start held him in great stead.
And as he heads down the roller coaster one final time, trying to get his first career Pro Bridgestone CSBK victory here at Atlantic Motorsport Park, presented by Pro Cycling Canadian Kawasaki, the Ducati rider heads for home, and no doubt he and his team will be absolutely thrilled by this. Up the top of the hill one more time. There's absolutely no question that Maverick was Top Gun today. All the way to the finish line, a little fist pump, and the 6th winner in 7 races as you see jubilation from the Sear camp.
There you can see Van Winkle. He gave it the old college try, trying to get our points leader Tremblay, and second for Tremblay isn't what he's used to, but that's a great effort, and of course keeps him well up in the points because Sear has had some problems earlier in the season, is not really in contention for the title. Vieira was probably his most likely threat, and Vieira's had all kinds of problems.
First of what we believe should be many victories for Maverick Sear as he gets a chance to be congratulated by Sebastian Tremblay and Andrew Van Winkle as well. They come home 2nd and 3rd.
Here we have a look at the points, at the results. Philip de Gama Blanchette, that very strong 4th from Lang on the 2 Kawasaki's. Look at that. In 6th place, another rookie pro on a Kawasaki. Then Souza on his Suzuki, and the first local Adam Singer. Then Chad Whitehead, Vieira a DNF, and we think it was overheating with the Ducati that held him into the pits.
Let's hear from our winner, Maverick Sear.
All right, Maverick, big win for you today. How do you feel?
Oh, it was an awesome race. Honestly, I had a great start. I knew before the race I had the pace to challenge these guys, so I just put my hand down in the first couple of laps, and managed to get away, managed to keep my gap, and even make it a little bit bigger. So yeah, it's a pretty good race for me. It's a nice accomplishment for me. So thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Maverick Sear as he enters the winning column here. 2 for Sebastian Tremblay, but 6 different winners over 7 races.
Yeah, I guess it could be more competitive, but I'm not sure how it would be that way. And Tremblay has presided over a number of these sorts of events. We head on to our next race here tomorrow, and we'll see what the conditions are like then, but we're expecting lots of heat. And there you see our top 3. What a great day of pro sport bike action.
Fantastic progress and result from Maverick Sear. Until next time, thanks for watching the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship.